Welcome to the WIHS Journal. On the broadcast today with us, we'll be speaking to the Senior Director of Counseling from Focus on the Family. Jeremy Keeton will give advice for those who are suffering with anxiety or maybe even depression or isolation during this time of quarantine because of the COVID-19 virus. Join us today on the broadcast. So tell us, how long have you been with Focus on the Family?
Well, I've been blessed to serve with Focus since 2001, so 18, 19 years now, and I've just seen how many friends of our ministry trust us, will give us a ring when they want to consult with a counselor. That's the department that I help lead. We consult with about 100 people a day on our phone lines. We do about 1,500 completed conversations a month on every topic, Anissa, from potty training to addiction issues to, and certainly helping in times like this. We're really, really glad to come alongside friends that give us a ring.
Absolutely. So now with this whole virus, did any of the ministry get affected? Are you guys working at the office or some of you working at home, or how did that work out?
Well, currently we are working from home through the internet lines, and our phone lines have been routed through home high-speed internet, and we're able to maintain our work. So we are open, we are here, we are consulting, praying with people. Our licensed and pastoral counselors are able to connect with folks during this shelter-in-place season. Normally, we're on at the headquarters of Focus on the Family in Colorado Springs. We have a team of 18 licensed or pastoral staff that are consulting with people on the phone lines there.
Well, thank you so much. And, I kind of got the plug. You're actually mentoring a lot of people that are going through anxiety, depression through this coronavirus. So what kind of phone calls have you taken or different things have you ministered to about?
Well, I want to tell you that it is just so special to us that people will trust us and say, here's what I'm going through. I really don't know what to do next. I don't know how to deal with this stress or this grief. And we've certainly heard a lot of that. Families that are sheltering in place together, these situations are bringing out issues that were pre-existing, right? That are there, but when you're in close quarters together, sometimes those issues that have been going on in your marriage come to the surface, or in your parenting issues, and that's just natural. And we want to help normalize that for people and help get them through. This is also an opportunity to work on some of those things. Not comfortable, but it can be good. And unfortunately, also, we're hearing a lot of grief. There are people experiencing loss, and the Lord is close to the brokenhearted, and we want to cry with them, pray with them, talk them through some resourcing needs they have relative to loss of events, and unfortunately, we are hearing from those that have lost loved ones to the virus in this time.
I'm thinking about, what God's ultimate plan was for what you think, in your opinion, for unbelievers during this pandemic.
Here's what I know, because the Scripture says it, is that God is not willing that anyone should perish, that all would come to Him, and that we're all sinners and have fallen short of His perfection. And that message is the same today, during the pandemic, after the pandemic, and in years to come. And what I believe, every opportunity, every day, every challenge is a way that God is willing to use the events of that day to accomplish His purpose. And so I would say that His purpose is unchanging, but the things that are going on in our world, in a fallen world, do change. And yet His nature, His mercy, His goodness is so great that He's going to take everything and pursue those that will respond to Him, because He is willing to save all of us as we turn to Him. And if there is something through this pandemic that has caused people to pause, to look at life differently, to say my priorities have been off, or I am empty and I don't really know why, if this has caused that to happen, He is delighted to meet you there. And that's what I believe is happening, and pray is happening as a result of this pandemic.
Well, I love that. And if you're just tuning in, I'm speaking to Jeremy Keeton. He's the Senior Director of Counseling Services with Focus on the Family. What I hear the most, I would think would have to be the most devastating, that family members who are suffering from this virus and some that have, loved ones who actually died. And the thing is, at the hardest is they can't be with them physically. What can you say to listeners who are dealing with that?
Well, there is no easy statement for that, other than I am so sorry, and it hurts, and I know the one who's hurting with you. He lives in me, and when I feel that sadness and a lump in my throat even saying this, I know that's the Spirit of Christ. Mm-hmm. That's the Spirit of our living God hurting with you. We're so sorry that you were not by the side of your loved one when they passed. And yet, especially if that individual knew the Lord, the Scripture says, precious in the eyes of God are the death of the saints, that He is holding the hand of every spirit that He welcomes into His rest. And you can be absolutely assured that even though your hand was not holding their hand, there was a hand holding theirs, because He knows our days. He knows the number of days that each one of us has, the number of hairs on our head. And as tragic and as premature as this feels, and is in so many ways in our view, in His sovereignty, He still knew. And He was holding that hand, I believe, because He knows every one of us that personally.
Very eloquently said. I love that. And any advice you'd like to give to our listeners, those maybe who are suffering with anxiety or depression because of this virus?
Yeah, you know what? We need to just be honest with ourselves and not be ashamed about that. When we're not feeling well, we need to talk it out rather than act it out. We need to say, hey, I need to be in my community. I'm not feeling great, right? This can trigger a lot of things. And the sheltering in place and just everything ranging from boredom to worry to too much media stimulation. And I would say being honest with yourself that say, hey, I need to do some things to care for the anxiety or the depression I'm having. I don't need to run from it in shame. I don't need to bury it. I need to talk it out rather than act it out. I need to go to the book of Psalms that helps me pray. The book of Psalms is just a great prayer book that expresses exactly what the psalmist is feeling. Often David is writing, and he's pouring out those true and honest feelings. And then he comes to a landing place, usually about midway to the end of whatever psalm it is, and he declares the goodness of God. He makes a faith decision. And I would encourage you, if you are in a place where you're needing mental health counseling because you're dealing with something dangerous or dark or suicidal thoughts, don't go it alone. Reach out. Call us at Focus on the Family if we can help you with the call back. If you're in a dangerous situation, call 911. But don't lose sight of the fact that God sees you. God knows you. This moment will not last forever. And talking out what you are experiencing from anxiety to depression is a first key thing I want people to hear. And then there's some other coping tools we could talk about as well. But that's the top line is don't go it alone. Talk about it.
Absolutely. Well, I really enjoyed our conversation today about, your history with a Focus on the Family and how we should, all act and react during this national pandemic. Any words of wisdom you would like to include before we close the broadcast today?
Well, we've been talking about mental health issues and the Lord's presence with you during these challenges. I'd like to direct people to two areas. On the web page of focusonthefamily.com/mental health, focusonthefamily.com/mental health, you'll find supportive resources there, as well as reaching out to us if we can come alongside you at 1-800-A-FAMILY, 1-800-A-FAMILY, in order to receive a callback for one of our licensed or pastoral counselors that can pray with you, speak with you, and give you some next steps with whatever you're facing in your personal life or your family life. God cares for you, and we're glad to connect with you in that way.
Once again on the broadcast with us was Jeremy Keeton, the Senior Director of Counseling from Focus on the Family. If you enjoyed today's broadcast and would like more details, give us a call at 860-346-1049 is our phone number. The opinions expressed are those of the participants, not necessarily those of a staff and management of a station. I'm Anissa Porticelli. The WIHS Journal is public affairs from WIHS, Middletown,